The official narrative circulated in the 1st century follows a specific script. A group of unarmed fishermen managed to sneak past a unit of heavily armed guards to steal a body. To pull this off, those men would have had to move a solid piece of rock weighing nearly 4,000 pounds without alerting anyone nearby. This leads to the central paradox of the historical report. The guards' official testimony was that they slept through the entire heist. On its face, the claim is completely absurd. However, decoding the construction of this cover-up allows us to reconstruct the event it was designed to hide. The lockdown of this gravesite was an official state action involving documented political figures, moving the event from the realm of myth into verifiable history. Pontius Pilate was a Roman governor known for crushing dissent through calculated, historically verified brutality. When the religious leaders requested high-level security for the tomb, Pilate authorized the use of official state resources to secure the site. This meant the tomb was an active, state-sanctioned lockdown zone, overseen by a governor who did not tolerate failure. The first layer of security was the Roman imperial wax seal. Tampering with this marker was a high crime against the empire itself. The second layer was the physical guard detail, an elite, heavily armored fighting force stationed at the entrance. These men operated under Roman camp discipline, which included an absolute zero-tolerance policy for falling asleep during the night watch. Failing this duty carried horrific consequences. A soldier found asleep could be beaten to death by his own unit or burned alive in his garments. This creates a massive, inescapable logical trap. Why would these specific soldiers willingly run into the city and confess to a crime that carried an automatic death sentence? To abandon their post and risk their lives with that confession, they must have encountered an event far more terrifying than Roman execution. Sunday morning arrived not with the expected silence, but with a sudden, violent, seismic event that completely fractured the ground. An entity descended towards the site, possessing a terrifying physical presence, a face radiating like lightning, and clothes as white as snow. This figure broke the imperial seal, rolled back the massive 2-ton stone, and sat on it. This event functioned as a deliberate, overwhelming demonstration of physical supremacy over Roman engineering and political authority. Faced with this presence, the hardened Roman soldiers experienced an immediate, severe physiological reaction. The guards' central nervous systems suddenly went into a state of profound shock, causing them to convulse in absolute terror on the ground. The accounts describe them as becoming like dead men. They suffered total biological incapacitation and passed out completely in the dirt. Despite their training and lethal weaponry, they were paralyzed, rendering their defensive perimeter entirely useless. As local women arrived and received a message from the entity, the guards eventually awakened to find the tomb open and the body gone. The soldiers were not negligent. They were entirely neutralized by an overwhelming force they had no ability to fight. The fleeing guards bypassed their own Roman commanders and reported directly to the Jewish chief priests. The religious leaders immediately offered massive sums of hush money to the soldiers to spread the narrative that they had fallen asleep. To secure the deal, the priests promised to intervene with the governor to keep the soldiers from being executed. The establishment's immediate reaction was to fund a coordinated, expensive cover-up rather than investigate a reported grave robbery. The official lie contains a fatal flaw. If the guards were truly asleep, they could not identify the thieves. One cannot be unconscious while identifying perpetrators. This contradiction suggests a fabricated script to control public fallout. For the next 30 days, the disciples publicly preached the resurrection in the exact region where it occurred, facing no intellectual opposition. To crush this movement, the authorities simply needed to produce the body, but they could not do it. The presence of terrified elite guards, an inconsistent cover-up, and desperate political bribery provide a specific historical silhouette. They point toward a physical event that the most powerful authorities of the ancient world could neither explain nor contain.